Hi everybody. I'm sorry I'm so zoomed in. I usually fix my camera when I do my intro, but I'm too lazy today. I have too much to talk about. Yesterday, because I'm actually filming this on schedule, can you believe it? I posted on my story a little questionnaire box and I asked what you guys need advice on. I felt like being helpful, and I don't know how helpful my advice will be, but I did actually get a decent amount of responses. I was shocked that you would want my input of all people's on your life problems, but I'm flattered, and I mean that truly, that you guys have that amount of confidence in me. I'm gonna try my best. I picked a lot of the ones I could kind of relate to. There were a lot of people that asked me to help with their procrastination, and I literally can't answer that. I am such a bad procrastinator. Any kind of information I would feed you regarding that would not be advice. It would just be me lying, truthfully. So there's no questions about procrastination. I apologize for that. I literally don't know what advice I could give you. That's that. See, I came unprepared. Like, I literally didn't even have my questions ready, and you expect me to be the expert on procrastination? No way, Jose. I just want to say some of these can be a little upsetting. I'm gonna start out with the more tame ones, you know, the ones that aren't like super depressing. This way you have like a warning. My first question, or the first question that was asked to me, this isn't really even advice, this was just a question, but what do you watch when you edit, or do you just edit in silence? Oh my god. I can't even do a race while I'm talking. So I edit in complete silence. I've tried to watch movies while I edit. I can't do it. Why can't I jump this? Dude, what is with these jumps? I don't remember these being this hard. Are you kidding me? Like, can I just not jump this? I have ADHD and some of my teachers just don't get it. Help. So growing up, for the longest time, my mother and a few doctors were convinced that I had ADHD. Plot twist, I don't. I have autism. You can have both at the same time. I just don't have it. I had autism. I obviously still have it. Jump the jump. Okay. I know how you feel firsthand. I forget the name of it, but I have that math dyslexia thing. Like, I am so bad at math. The numbers look backwards and stuff, and I can't read numbers. So, dude, this race sometimes, and I hate to say this, you literally just have to suck it up, which you shouldn't have to do. I'm gonna suck with advice on this question because I literally just had to fail my way through math because nobody would help me. None of the teachers understood that I physically could not do math, so I had to fail math. And then my senior year, after I had kind of graduated, I didn't really graduate because I didn't pass math. I took it during the summer and I did it at my own pace, and I cheated my way through the class. And that's how I graduated. I was missing 1 credit. I didn't understand algebra. And I'm not saying you should do that. I would really recommend a tutor or maybe somebody a grade level ahead of you to help in some way. I know procrastination can be hard with both autism and ADHD, and school was extremely hard, and I feel for you. You just need to find out what works for you. I really recommend watching YouTube videos on how to manage your ADHD and see what works for other people, and maybe it'll work for you. You can't make people who don't want to understand, and that was my situation. Some teachers just don't want to believe that some kids can't do it, and they are not as privileged as others telepathically. I don't know, okay? I got a lot of questions about this. How to get through anxiety. So I am not diagnosed with anxiety. For the longest time, I thought I had it because it runs in my family. My boyfriend has anxiety, and we both get like those obsessive thoughts, but mine is OCD. Mine is a little more obsessive than his get. I've had anxiety before, like not diagnosed, but you know, I've been anxious and I've had panic attacks. And what I find really helped as someone who isn't diagnosed is grounding yourself, you know, 5 things you can see, 4 things you can hear, stuff like that. For some reason that helps. And laying down. And if none of that works, I really recommend just getting medicated. I know it's hard to get, you know, any kind of mental health care, especially in America sometimes. But it really is worth it if you can go through hell and back to get it, I promise. Feeling super left out, like I feel like I'm no one's best friend, you know, just like a floater friend. I know this firsthand. Like I said, I grew up autistic, so I was always passed around because people thought I was weird and, you know, just normal teenage stuff, I guess. Sometimes you just have to find peace within yourself. If somebody doesn't want to be your best friend, or you feel like you are their best friend but they're not yours, they're not worth your time. Sometimes it's okay to be your own best friend. Sometimes I'm my own best friend and I quite enjoy it. But that's just coming from somebody who's an introvert. I fully understand just feeling like you're kind of there, you're never the first to be invited to things, stuff like that. It sucks, it really does. But I promise you, I went through years of that. Just being the floater friend, the fair weather friend, you know, whatever it is. You know, people only call you to go out when nobody else can, stuff like that. If everyone else is busy, you're the last resort. But I do promise you, the right people will come around and they will be around for life. So don't lose hope. I didn't. If I did, that would have been a little tragic. I don't know where I'm going. Excuse me. I don't like my boss. She is very unprofessional with me and I don't know what to do. Please do not be afraid to stick up for yourself. Please do not let yourself be pushed around in the workplace. I'm not sure what your situation is, if you feel as though you can't stick up for yourself or if you're at risk of losing your job if you stick up for yourself, but please do not be afraid. Please do not be afraid to tell people when they are pushing your boundaries. The longer you let them do it, the worse it will get. And when it comes to bosses, they go on power trips sometimes. Please just don't be afraid to stick up for yourself. There have been times where I've had to do it and I've never regretted it at all. I want to join SSO contests, but I'm a non-SSO account and the community scares me a bit. Well, I think even if you're not an SSO account, you shouldn't be scared. I see a lot of Instagram accounts that are just basic editors, you know, sometimes they're even like video editors for like Gossip Girl, and once in a blue moon they'll have like a Star Stable show post up. There's nothing wrong with that. If you just have an account with your general interests or your art, just do it. A lot of us, me especially, we talk big smack about the Star Stable community, but if you keep your ducks in a row and you are a somewhat decent person, there's nothing to worry about. There's nothing really to be scared of. Just don't cross the wrong people and just be kind. And you shouldn't run into any problems. We're nice, I promise. What do you do when your ex-best friend tries to cross your boundaries all over again? So this goes hand in hand with what I said about that person's boss. Do not be afraid to stick up for yourself. I had situations within the last year and a half where someone I used to be friends with, they didn't turn out to be who I thought they were and all this other stuff, and they continuously pushed boundaries, and it's not fun to deal with. And go no contact, sit on it. If they mature enough and you feel as though they've matured enough, maybe say your piece and then go no contact again. Closure is a very good thing, and I don't know the circumstances of why this person is your ex-best friend, but in my instance, we didn't talk, rekindled for a little bit, didn't talk again, rekindled, said what we needed to say, and we're just on a first name basis now, don't really talk. There were times where this person did try and cross my boundaries over and over again, and I had to remind them, and there's nothing wrong with that. Do not be scared to say to them, you are making me uncomfortable and I do not like where this is going. I know it's hard to stick up for yourself. It took me, how old am I? It took me 21 years to realize that sticking up for yourself is okay. And the worst they're gonna do is, I don't know, get mad at it. My general advice, do not be afraid to tell them that they are making you uncomfortable. You will feel so much better. Even if it doesn't work, just the fact that you tried and you stood up for yourself, you will view yourself in a different light, I want to say, and you will be like, wow, I really do care about myself, that I put myself first for once, you know what I mean? Respect yourself enough to keep your boundaries prioritized, if that makes sense. Will I ever find the right boy for me? Well, I like to say that there is a lid for every pot, whether that lid is somewhere in the garage or a storage unit, or it's at the back of the cabinet away from its matching pan or pot or whatever. It's there somewhere, whether you see it or not. So yes, you will find one. You will find your lid. I love my boyfriend more than anything, but we keep getting frustrated at each other. This is normal, as long as you're dealing with it in a healthy way and you're not screaming at each other, hurting each other physically, and you talk it out and you can say sorry, look each other in the eye and say sorry, then that is normal. Me and Wade, we get into little arguments all the time, and most of the time it's just because something else is bothering us, or one of us is overstimulated, or one of us is just not having a good day. And sometimes you just need to sit down and say, I'm sorry, was there something that prerequisited this? Like, what happened? It is normal though. It's not the end all be all. You know, it's just sometimes when you're with somebody so much, you're bound to get annoyed and frustrated with them. It's nothing to worry about unless it's more fighting than anything else. Like, if it's frustration more often than not, then maybe you really need to sit down and have a talk. Pinpoint why it's happening. How do I stop being so insecure? Okay, this is one of those things where it's a complete lifestyle change. Don't get me wrong, I am still incredibly insecure. It's my body I'm insecure about. You know, my entire being, but whatever. One thing that has helped me, well, first of all, I looked up a bunch of videos on why I should stop being insecure. Like, give me a good reason why I should stop being insecure. And I watched this like motivational video of this guy, and he said, it put in a whole new perspective for me. If you walk into a room and your immediate thought is that everybody is looking at you and picking you apart and they're focused on you in a way that's selfish, I want you to hold up your hand and I want you to count on your hand how many times somebody has walked into a room and you have sat there and picked apart every single little detail about how they look. I'm gonna hope it's not more than once, if at all. So if you're not sitting there picking apart people's insecurities, why would other people be doing that to you unless there's something severely wrong with them? And I promise you, in the real world, there are not a lot of people who have something severely wrong with them and they just sit there and bully people unless they're like an insecure teenager or just like a basic mean girl. If another person's picking apart how you look, that means they're insecure too, because insecure people and mean girls are usually insecure about something or the other. So I wouldn't even worry about it. That's what I go by, you know? If somebody really has the energy to sit there and see how you look and just rip it apart or rip apart what you're doing and blah, 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 they are much more miserable than you are. And you just have to remember that. How not to scrap every single project RP-wise, girl. If I had the answer to this, I would not post once a month. And I literally I make money off my videos and I still can't sit down and make myself post them, if that says anything. Obviously, roleplay in a way, it's a form of art, and any kind of art is gonna drain you if you do it so often. It's a very creative kind of thing. You have to write, you have to edit, you have to do all these other things, so of course it's gonna be hard to stay motivated because that's a lot. Artistic things take a lot out of you, and that is normal. Don't overthink it. That's what I do. I just stopped overthinking it. I know that's hard, especially if you're a perfectionist. Someone out there is gonna like it. And I think the sooner you realize that, the less ideas you will scrap. Even if you yourself aren't happy with it, just take a risk. Just take a risk. Life's too short. Just take a risk. Will I get banned if I download Reshade? Well, I'm not banned yet. No, you won't. You won't get banned. I want to spend more time alone, but I live with my partner. I don't know how. I feel you. Sometimes you're just touched out. Sometimes you just want to be left alone. As much as you love your significant other, sometimes you just need to be away from them. I don't know if you're into taking walks, but taking walks is a very, very grounding and personal thing. I think walks just outside are one of the best things in the world. They're very healing, if that makes sense. So maybe you could take a walk by yourself and get some alone time that way. Or maybe just let your partner know, hey, sometimes I just want to do my own thing. But what you can't do is just avoid them because you want to be alone, you know? Not saying you would. This is in general. I'm speaking to everybody. You gotta communicate. Like, if you want to be left alone, you gotta communicate it because you don't want them to think you're avoiding them. It's normal to want to be by yourself, you know? And if you have a significant other that criticizes you or guilts you for wanting to spend some alone time, that is a very deep conversation you need to have with not only yourself, but your partner, because that's not normal in a way. Of course, everybody wants to be around their significant other 24/7. You love them to death. But people have boundaries. And in a relationship, you have to learn to respect those boundaries. Just let them know you want some alone time. And if you go about it the right way, I am sure they will understand. How to do things away from your phone or PC. How to overcome the screen addiction. Okay, this one was really hard for me personally because I work from home. My job is on the computer. My job is video games. And then You know, I do school online. I do everything on a screen. Phones can be like an addiction. Like, I've heard it can be as bad as drugs sometimes. Because it's like a dopamine hit or whatever the heck it is. I don't know my hormones. I'm bad at science too. I found joy in reading. I found joy in coloring, even if it's just for like an hour a day. Baby steps. Play with your dog. Play with your cat. Go ride your horse or something. And again, take a walk, even if you're listening to music. At least you're outside, not looking at your phone. Work out. Another thing is I really like to cook. You know, cooking, it's so good for your soul. Okay, that sounds so stupid. It's so good for your soul, especially if you're like not on your phone while you're doing it. And I know sometimes you gotta follow a recipe, but again, life's too short to take risks. Maybe just wing it. Like, you know, when you're in the kitchen, no phone, just you and the food cooking along, and you're making that food, and you slave over it, and you perfect it, and you know it's gonna taste good. When you eat it, it's so rewarding. Cooking is like, it's healing. It's very healing. Cooking and walks are like my two favorite things. Playing with my dog too. And then sometimes when you do those things and you don't have a screen in your hand and you get so roped up in it, you completely forget that you even need your phone, that you even need your PC. It's baby steps. You kind of just have to let it happen naturally. You can't just like cold turkey be like, I'm not gonna go on my phone today. I'm not gonna play any video games today, because that's miserable. You just have to find a healthy balance, and it's hard at first, don't get me wrong, but it pays off, I promise. How do I tell my grandma that I got my nose pierced? Okay, what worked for me when I was a teenager, because I used to dye my hair all the time. Don't say anything. Don't say anything. Let them figure it out, because 9 out of 10 times, the only time adults really realize there's something different with your appearance is when you're out somewhere. Every single time my mom ever noticed I cut my hair or I dyed it or something like that, it was like at a restaurant with our family. And she's not gonna scream at me in front of our family. That's my opinion. Just don't say anything. I never said anything. And for some reason, the blow was a lot softer than me just being like, hey, so I went behind your back and got my nose pierced. They like hate that. I don't know what it is with adults. They like hate that. They're like, be honest, never lie. And then when you lie, they're like, wow, you're the spawn of Satan. So I just stopped saying anything. How to gather a following and have a good relationship with them. I'm gonna try my best to give some kind of advice here. I literally don't know how to answer the first part. The only thing I can say to gather a following is just be yourself. Honestly, be you. If that makes any sense at all. And how to have a good relationship with them. If you find the answer to that, please let me know, because I am slacking. Like, I love you guys to death. I adore all of you. Streaming is like the highlight of my week. My Discord events, my live shows, they're like the highlight of my week. When I film with you guys, highlight of my week. But I feel guilty because I feel like I could do more to give back to you guys, because you've given me so much. I wish I could think of different ways to give back to you guys, but I unfortunately am broke and can't host giveaways. So don't sell out. Don't change just because you gather. It's normal to change as a human being, especially because we're all so young here. I know we're not like 40-year-olds playing this game and blah, blah, blah. You're gonna change throughout time, but just don't lose sight of who you are and who you were at the beginning of your content creation journey or whatever. Do not forget or lose sight of the people who got you where you were. Because in my head, I still remember the usernames of everybody who supported me from the beginning. I promise you I do. You're ingrained in my memory. Just don't lose sight of your roots. Okay, so I just weirdly got like a network error. It was the weirdest thing, but whatever. I was like, oh, this is about to get deep, and then God was like, no, do not talk about this. So this says, and this is like a really touchy topic for me. I'm like in therapy for this, but you know, I've been through it, so I can give good advice. What do I do about my mom's favoritism? And I'm going to tell you exactly what my therapist told me, because I struggled with this growing up. My mom and I do not have the best relationship, never really have. I know I say in my videos that I love my mom. Of course I love my mom. She's my mom. That doesn't mean that she didn't hurt me mentally as I was growing up with many of the things she did. This is what my therapist told me. Don't seek her approval anymore. And I know that's hard, especially because it's your parent. But if you continuously seek their approval, they only criticize you more for it. I don't know why. I don't know the science behind that. That's just how it is, because usually parents that display favoritism between their children, 9 out of 10 times they're covert narcissists. And there's no arguing with a narcissist. There's no arguing with somebody who compares their kids. You need to stop seeking her approval. Easier said than done, I know. And you need to start seeking your own approval. I went down a very, very weird path in my life where I got so exhausted seeking my mom's approval. I sought out the approval of my friends' moms, my aunts, my uncles, and I got their approval, but I was still never satisfied because I still didn't have my mom's. You can't let yourself get into that headspace because it only makes things even worse. If you can acknowledge that there is favoritism, just know, I assure you, you're not doing anything wrong. It's not fair that somebody would willingly have children just to compare them, and it sucks. It really does suck. At the end of the day, the only thing that matters is that you have your own approval, you know who you are, and you are happy with yourself. And once you can proudly say that about yourself, that you are happy with yourself and you approve of your life and how you manage things, you will feel so much better. I promise. I don't want to get choked up, but I know how much this sucks, and it's one of the biggest things I struggle with more than anything is my relationship with my mom. It's a weird thing, you know, because your parents are supposed to be there to love you, and when they hurt you and they say mean things and you can see that they aren't loving you the way that they should, it sucks because you can't really get that from anybody. Because in my situation, like I said, I sought out the approval of my friends' parents and stuff. No matter what, even with their approval, I would always be second to their kids, you know? It's not like people's parents are just gonna be like, yeah, you're my kid now. It just doesn't work like that. But I feel for you, and again, as long as you know who you are and you approve of yourself and you know that you shouldn't be compared, because nobody should be compared to anybody, nobody is the same, you should be a-okay. And I know it's hard to not care what your parents think, but sometimes it's just, that's how the cookie crumbles. And it sucks, but you gotta move sometimes. You can't let yourself just sit and reminisce and marinate in their mean words and their criticisms of you. And it's especially hard when they're like, well, I say it because I care. If they compare you to your sibling or anybody else or anybody else's kids, that's not care, it's mean. And if that's their form of care and that's them showing they care, then they have a lot of healing they need to do on their own. And you can't help somebody that doesn't want to be helped. I'm not saying your parent probably doesn't want to be helped, but that's how mine was. So you just have to learn to cope. And yeah, that's my 2 cents. People dressed like pickles keep following me in SSO. Please help. Put some tahini on those bad boys and chomp them down with a turkey sandwich. That's what I do. Last one today, because my throat's starting to hurt and I'm hungry and I really gotta pee. Finding motivation to post or work on posts, like I just don't care as much anymore. You might just not like it anymore, and that's okay. Or you might just need a break. I know sometimes I'm just like, God, I am dreading posting. I am dreading sitting down to make this. Then I go on a 2-week break and I'm like, huh, I can't wait to go home and frickin' make an SSO RRP. Just don't force yourself, you know? Don't burn yourself out. The feeling will come back to you. The passion will come back eventually, I promise you. It doesn't just disappear overnight. And everybody on Instagram who posts a whole paragraph on their story like, I'm leaving the SSO community, I'm never coming back. 9 out of 10 times, they are back the same week. Like, oh my gosh, guys, I changed my mind. I just had the best idea. And then they go on a posting spree, and then the cycle continues. Like, let yourself breathe. Just let yourself breathe, you know? Just don't make any rash decisions. Just let yourself breathe, take time to plan something out that you like, take a risk. And if you don't like it anymore, if you really can't ignite that passion, delete the account, just forget about it. Move to like, I don't know, what's another game? Me personally, I just go to sleep or play Call of Duty when I get tired of horse game. So I love this pony. We got him to level 6. That was pretty good. We went up 4 levels almost. We actually got some good stuff done today, so that's awesome. We'll sit here with, what's his name? Conrad? I almost called him Concord, like the horse. Anywho, I got a lot more submissions than that, so if you guys would like a part 2, please let me know. Even though I always say that, then I never make a part 2. Whatever, don't talk about it. Just pretend that I follow through with things that I say. Wink wonk. Anyway, I'm a bit of a ditz if I'm honest. I can't even walk in a straight line. Whoa. Anyway, that's it from me. Oh, look, we have a friend. That's it from me today. I will see you guys later this week. Alright. Bye.